You don't just walk into this level, you're discarded here. The sterile hum and dead silence of the maintenance tunnels swallow your frantic breathing as you stumble toward a flickering terminal. The only scrap of light in this concrete throat. Your hands, caked in dust from the archive, are shaking as you slide a corrupted data chip into the side slot. You're desperate to scrub your trail, to undo that archived status that almost erased you in the last sector. But the ECHOE system doesn't have a delete. It only recognizes data input. A high-pitched digital screech rips through the tunnel, followed by a heavy, rhythmic thudding from behind the walls. The terminal screen isn't showing your files anymore. It's pulsing with a violent, industrial orange glare. Your HUD, the interface burned into your retinas, flickers and glitch out. A fresh string of code overrides your vision. Status exposed. A cold, synthetic voice, stripped of any human inflection, echoes directly into your ear canal. Subject 042. Calibration failed. Visual acquisition protocol initiated. Suddenly, a thin beam of crimson light sweeps across the ceiling, scanning your body with surgical precision. It's not just light. You can feel the heat of that gaze, a physical weight pressing down on your shoulders. It hits you with a hollow, gut-wrenching realization. By trying to hide, you did the one thing the system can't ignore. You made yourself a priority. Before you can even process the shift in the air, a final directive scrolls across your sight, flashing in a warning red. Ceiling sensors active. Do not establish visual contact. Participant log 042. Status monitored. Interaction detected. Like, subscribe. Will confirm your presence for the next level. The light dies out, but the sound of something massive and multi-limbed shifting above the ceiling tiles begins. You have to move, but the rules have changed. You aren't just lost anymore, you're being hunted. The weight of the silence is physical now. Following the system's directive isn't a choice, it's a hardwired survival instinct. You tuck your chin until it's practically digging into your chest, shrinking your entire world down to a 3-foot circle of grimy concrete, rust stains, and your own green sneakers. Every step you take hits like a detonation in these endless maintenance halls. Your HUD, the interface burned into your retinas, flickers in a cold, digital blue, monitoring your next tilt with ruthless precision. If you tilt your head even an inch past the limit, the audio feed snaps into white noise, a jagged reminder that the system is ready to flatline your consciousness the moment you step out of line. Above you, the sound is your worst enemy. It's not some organic monster breathing. It's the acoustic signature of a living, breathing infrastructure. You hear the high-pitched whine of servo motors spinning on invisible tracks, the metallic click of high-res lenses adjusting their focus, and the constant heavy drag of thick cables over the ceiling tiles. It's the soundtrack of a systematic hunt. You can feel them repositioning with every move you make, gliding through the dark ceiling gaps to stay exactly over the nape of your neck. Paranoia starts to eat you alive. The human urge to face your threat is almost a physical ache, but the ECHOE system unites curiosity with immediate obsolescence. You walk for what feels like hours, drifting through dead zones where your only guide is the dim, rhythmic pulse of your own HUD. The isolation is total. The sheer loneliness of these maintenance tiers makes you wonder if there's even a real world left, or if you've always just been a data point being shuffled through these corridors. The sense of helplessness hits a new peak when you realize the system isn't just watching you, it's choreographing your fear, clocking how long you can handle being hunted without ever being allowed to see the hunter. The air gets thick, the temperature drops, and the floor, dry until now, starts to glisten with a sick, reflective dampness. The corridor opens up into a wider maintenance bay, where the ceiling looks like it's buckling under the weight of accumulated industrial sludge. The floor is drowned in a thin layer of stagnant black water, turning the pavement into a cruel, perfect mirror. You stop dead. Your HUD pings a proximity alert, but there's nothing in your direct line of sight. The danger is vertical. Following the system's golden rule, don't look up, you're forced to use the only tool the system hasn't glitched out yet, the reflection at your feet. As you stare into the puddle, you see the truth the system tried to bury behind the ceiling tiles. The roof above you isn't concrete. It's a dense honeycomb of optical sensors, articulated claws, and thousands of directional mics pointed like needles at your exact position. Through the water's reflection, you spot the entity's silhouette, a tangled mass of cables and lenses sliding soundlessly along the service tracks. The crimson glow of its lenses racks focus on the water's surface, trying to catch even the smallest micro-expression on your reflected face that might hint at panic or a breach of protocol. The anxiety becomes an unbearable weight as you wade through 30 feet of submerged debris. Every step is a rhythmic torture. Through the water, you watch the entity's claw drop a few inches, nearly grazing the top of your head, reacting to the thumping of your heart that the HUD insists on broadcasting. You're no longer human, you're a moving data point, and the system is just waiting for you to break the eye contact rule to validate your deletion. The sheer helplessness of seeing your hunter only as a distorted, inverted ghost in the water erodes whatever's left of your sanity. The fragile safety of reflections ends exactly where the system's architecture begins to manifest aggressively. As you push forward, you realize the concrete walls are no longer just physical barriers. They've become canvases for the ECHOE System's will. Orange light projections, pulsing at the same sickening frequency as the terminal you breached, start burning themselves into the reality around you. Complex glyphs, data strings, and the system's logo crawl across every flat surface, lighting up the hall with a clinical, nauseating glow. Every time you pass one of these marks, your HUD emits a dry ping, synced perfectly with your heartbeat. Subject tracked, position synced. You aren't a runaway anymore. You're an asset being escorted to processing. The feeling of being a foreign body peaks when you try to force open a service door. Before your hand even brushes the handle, a jagged red X is projected onto the metal, followed by the heavy clunk of an electromagnetic lock. The system isn't just watching you, it's hard-locking the world around you, deleting every exit strategy. The only path allowed is the one the system chooses through the lights. The paranoia of not looking up now bleeds into the terrifying realization that even while staring at the floor, you're walking exactly where they programmed you to go. The ambient feed undergoes a final mutation. The background hum dies out, leaving an acoustic vacuum where only the sound of those metallic claws on the ceiling, now much closer and more rhythmic, fills the void. You can feel the entity hovering right at the nape of your neck, practically becoming an extension of your own shadow. Mandatory protocol, incomplete data. The system requires your analysis to validate the route. Identify the symbol at 0814 and write it in the comments. You reach a junction where every light cuts out, except for a single flickering service bulb at the end of a narrow crawlway leading to the freight elevator. The air here feels heavy, thick with the scent of ozone. You know stepping into that space means accepting your final destination, but the system has left you no other choice but to walk straight into the heart of the trap. You step into the freight elevator. The metal walls are cold, vibrating with a frequency that makes your teeth ache. You try the control panel, but it's dead. The lights flicker in a static orange, and the cab starts ascending on its own, ignoring every physical command you try to give. Your HUD undergoes a total meltdown, the lines of code merging into a single sentence that pulses in perfect sync with the motor. Acquisition protocol initiated. You huddle in the corner, keeping your eyes locked onto the rust stains on the floor, but the ceiling above you starts to groan under an impossible weight, as if something were crushing the steel structure from the outside in. The sound of something massive slamming onto the roof of the cab sends the elevator into a violent tilt. You hear the metal being punctured, claws or sensors are tearing through the industrial-grade plating right above the nape of your neck. The air becomes saturated with the sharp tang of ozone and static electricity. The system begins the final countdown through a voice that seems to bleed out of the very walls. Subject, ECHOE 2. Location confirmed. Integration imminent in 3, 2. Your willpower snaps. In that final second, driven by a terror that shatters any survival logic, your head tilts up. In the split second your eyes leave the floor and meet the ceiling hatch being ripped away by a mass of cables and crimson lenses, the feed cuts to absolute black. There is no music, no explanation, just the sound of a cursor typing on a void screen in the middle of the darkness. The individual has fallen, but the ECHOE system has just concluded another optimization cycle. The structure remains, the system continues, and in the next interaction, the consequences will be yours.